Town Council will host its election tomorrow. Gas main work is causing some slowdowns for drivers. We'll tell you what roads you need to avoid. And we're going to get the latest real estate numbers from Register of Deeds Jack Mead on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Wednesday, December 14th, 2016. I'm Sarah Mannel. Town Council will soon have a new president. Town Council President Jessica Rapp-Grassetti nominated Councilor Eric Steinhilber for president of the council during their recent meeting. Steinhilber will face Councilor Jen Cullum for the top spot. Cullum was nominated by Councilor Fred Chirigotis. There was only one nomination for the position of vice president. Councilor Chirigotis nominated Town Councilor James Crocker for that role. The election will be held during this Thursday's council meeting. That meeting begins at 7 and will be held in the Town Hall hearing room. Gas main work could disrupt traffic along South Street, High School Road, Ocean Street, and Old Colony Road in Hyannis for the next few months. National Grid will be performing gas main infrastructure upgrades. Those upgrades began November 30th. The target completion date for the project is June 2017. Work will take place between 7 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Monday through Saturday. That's weather permitting, of course. Please plan ahead and use caution in those areas. The real estate market in Barnstable County had a great month in November. We get details from Register of Deeds Jack Mead. Jack, the numbers are in, and November was an amazing month in the real estate market in Barnstable County.
We had a very strong month. That's correct, Sarah. The volume of real estate sales was up over 16% from a year ago. That in 2015, and the value of sales was up nearly 16% overall. So we had a nice median individual property sale bump up 4.3%, and the mortgage activity was significantly up over almost 42% from a year ago.
Yeah, that's a high number there, the mortgage activity, almost 42%. Why that increase? Why are we seeing this? Is this just a sign that the economy is bouncing back, or is this something to do with the real estate market and mortgage rate?
Well, I think there was a slight dip. You know, the rates have been low for quite a while, but there was another little dip in the fall that I think a bunch of people took advantage of and went into the market and said, "Oh, I can refinance. Maybe I'm at 4.1 or 4, and I can get it down, almost to 3." And so there was a lowering of the rates. The rates have since climbed a bit from there, but there was that, I think, a low point that a bunch of people were paying attention to and got involved with.
Yeah, very exciting. Does this kind of growth, I don't think you typically see this much of an increase from a certain month a year ago to, this year. Is this a pretty significant jump? And how does it compare to recent months?
You occasionally can see that happening year to year, where you have one month that just is that much better than the year before, and you try to look back and figure out what was going on. And in some cases, it just was there were some maybe outstanding issues that that nationally or whatever that caused the month to be slower. And I'm not sure what was going on a year ago, November, but we, obviously we're stronger this month than they were then. I don't know if that we were matching, that might have been a slightly weak month for us. So you're going to see some of the discrepancy that way. But year to date, we're up over 11% in terms of the volume of activity. So that is an indicator that, we just have been having a good calendar year 2016 as compared to the previous years. And we have sort of been flat for a few years now, and so we started to see a decent pickup, and I'm not sure what to attribute that to. Hopefully a turnaround in the economy. But the overall economy numbers are still meh, So I think we saw at the beginning of this year, for the first 6 months or so, it took us almost 6 months before we got our median sale value number above the year before's number. So we were seeing a ton of activity on the lower end of the market early in the year, January, all the way through June, and so that's that's been the driver of the market, was probably the first time home buying stuff that was going on, or maybe second home buying, where people were buying maybe their first summer place or small place. But we saw that end of the market being quite active. Now we've started to see the higher end stuff move, and that's causing our individual property sale value to go up.
And when you see numbers this big, you have to feel great about the real estate market and really be excited about the growth. But then, what do we see? Hopefully we see this trend continue. Do you think that's a possibility?
Well, it's obviously, yeah, it's a possibility. I mean, whether it's a probability is is the good question, and so it's hard to say. I mean, we've had a consistently good year to date. We're almost done with it, calendar year wise. The year before we had a problem getting started with the huge snows that we had, not last winter but the winter before, if my memory serves. And that really, pushed our activity levels way back until we didn't get going until late spring. So there was some catching up to do, and we've sort of been catching up and continuing to get going since that happened. And one, is hopeful that we're going to keep this going, but I have nobody has a crystal ball on this stuff, and especially me. And so it's hard to say what we're going to see happening going forward. I know rates are, again, ticking up a little bit, but they're still, in the grand scheme of things, quite good. So I think if the economy overall kicks up and people are feeling better about that, that's going to just work to our favor. The fact that the sales values are moving in the right direction gives lenders confidence that they're going to be okay with their loans. So all those things work hand in hand to hopefully make the market better going forward. How
are we looking, Jack, as far as foreclosures go?
Well, that's still a troubling point, and we were for this year we were up significantly from last year. We're up 78% in terms of the number of foreclosures, and that's continues to be a troubling area. They're down, we've been through a lot of troubles the last 8 years in terms of the foreclosure markets, and where the overall numbers are significantly lower than they were when things were really shaky, but there's still more than you like to see. Obviously, you never like to see any, but even in the best of markets, you're going to have some foreclosure activity. This the nature of how the system works, but these numbers are still higher than you like to see. I'm not sure what's causing them. Some people have said that it's the result of some sort of finality in terms of the legal wranglings relative to what a proper foreclosure is going to be, and that kind of stuff, and that some of the stuff is older mortgages older troubled properties getting cleared up, but some of it, if you take a spot look, is just people who maybe have were in a tough spot and had borrowed a lot of money 10 years ago and just haven't been able to figure out how to get out of it, and haven't been able to hang on through maybe a loss of a job or whatever. So it's still a mixed bag, and there's still enough out there and coming in that it is somewhat it is troubling, and you'd like to think the worst is behind us, but it's hard to say.
Yeah, and of course, the good news, though, that those real estate values are picking up, that the real estate transaction numbers are picking up. So at least we're good news there. Hopefully that continues. So interesting to hear you say that the weather can play a part in how many houses are sold. Wouldn't have thought of that myself, but I guess it makes sense. No one's out looking for a house when it's covered in snow.
Well, somebody said it's hard to have curb appeal when you can't see the curb, right?
Yeah.
When one of the wags had said years ago when after that big storm, we were, the whole of New England was under 3 feet of snow. It just, especially the Cape, we got bombed, and it just was one of those cases where you couldn't even get down the street. So it's hard to, even if people were looking in January, wanted to look in January, February, and March, they really couldn't get a good sense of these places, especially the summer homes that might not have been shoveled out, and even those roads that would have been tough to traverse. So, things got started late, but yeah, they can have a huge impact.
Well, be sure to tune in to our hour-long news program, Barnstable This Morning, weekdays at 8 a.m. On tomorrow's show, we will chat with Town Council President Jessica Rapp-Grassetti. We'll talk with Airport Manager Bud Brialt. Plus, we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.